Not far into Jack's trek, he finds the corpse of the T-Rex. Bubbling blood coming from its mouth as a distraught mother pterodactyl picks from it, not only eating, but looking for any remnants of its eggs, hoping something might have survived. When it sees Jack, an angry look comes on its face, and it begins to fly at him. Jack tears a sharp branch off a tree and hurtles it at the flying creature. It impales its wing as it floats down and twitches and spasms in pain. Jack walks up to it and grips the spear in its wing. As he pulls it out, he uses the force of his pull to stomp his leg down onto the creature's neck, putting it out of its misery. He continues to walk towards the Rex carcass, and to make it through, he has no choice but to step into its blood-filled mouth. A horrible stench seems to be steaming out of it as Jack holds his breath and walks through the tar-like blood that soaks his boots and the bottom of his jeans. When he finally steps out, he throws up, then keeps moving. He's hot on Kong's trail as we cut back and forth from Kong and Ann's perspective to Jack's. The landscape becomes less jungle and more rocky as Kong journeys further to his home, a cave on the highest mountain of Skull Island's peak. Kong takes a break in a cave not too far from his room, if you will. This cave has a few rock formations, bubbling tar pits, and skeletons of long-dead members of the family of a species known today as Megaprimatus Kong. This place also resembles the geographical landscape of Gaul Spaceport from the game Shadows of the Empire. Kong puts Ann down atop a mountain-like rock formation, much like before when he fought the Styracosaurus and the Arsinotherium. Below, Jack sneaks up, but as Kong turns and bends down, Jack hides further behind the large, jagged rock formation he entered behind. The reason why Kong turned and bent over is because he noticed in all the beige and black, a tiny bright flower had grown. He bends down and, with pinky out, picks it as delicately as he could and brings it up to his nose to sniff it, and it's obvious he plans to give it to Ann. But as he's picking the flower, from out of the tar slithers a giant plesiosaur that slunks its way up the rock formation towards Ann. When Ann notices this, she puts her back to the wall and screams. She then looks down and notices a bone from one of the dead Kongs and picks it up and starts swinging at the plesiosaur. But from the moment Ann screamed, Kong was broken from his trance as he looks up, sees the danger, and drops that flower in the tar. We get a shot of Jack peeking out from behind the rock and noticing the flower sink into the inky blackness. Kong grabs the plesiosaur, which begins lightly smacking his pecs with its flippers and wrapping the rest of its long body around him. The plesiosaur tightens its grip, and Kong tries desperately to tug and pry it off. The slimy beast even takes a bite out of Kong's neck, and that jolts him to tug even harder, and he eventually gets it off and begins to smash it up against the hard, jagged rocks. To finish it off, Kong wrings it and twists its body like a wet towel, liquefying its organs before going limp. Once again, Kong plays with the corpse of his enemy, this time flopping the body around like some sort of slinky before finally tossing it back into the tar, which begins to absorb the dead aquatic creature, and once again we get a shot of Jack watching it sink. He doesn't know what to make of Kong. Back at the wall, Denim and Billy have made it back, and the moment Billy sees Engelhorn, he tries to fight back tears, but ends up clinging to him and crying. Engelhorn's initial instinct is to push him off, but he's known Billy for so long and knew this was no place for him, and whatever he experienced will stick with him for the rest of his life, so he lets him cry. He asks Denim where the rest of them are. Dead. Except for two, Denim says, walking past Engelhorn. He then turns and points his finger at him. But when they return, they won't be alone.